ForaTV. The world is thinking.
For years, I've been hearing this argument that the economy needs more college graduates, and I believe that it's based upon several badly mistaken assumptions. The first mistaken assumption is that there is some direct and causal link between increasing the number of people with college degrees and the creation of more high-skill, high-pay jobs. Unfortunately, employers are not catalyzed to create such jobs simply because there are more people available with college degrees. In other words, supply doesn't create its own demand here. Evidence. As my colleague pointed out, many college-degreed Americans today are working at jobs that call for no academic preparation. The same thing was true in Britain, where the Blair government's push to get more and more people through with college degrees has led only to a surplus of graduates doing fairly mundane jobs. And there are now reports that China has a glut of underemployed college graduates. The second mistaken assumption is that college coursework necessarily does a lot to enhance a person's productivity. Well, with some students, that's emphatically true, but for many others, it is not. Now, a book that I recommend everyone read is Professor Jackson Tobey's new eye-opening book, The Lowering of Higher Education. Tobey has taught sociology at Rutgers since 1951, and he observes that over the decades, as we've expanded higher education, we have increasingly drawn in students who are very weak, underprepared, and unmotivated. Consequently, we've trashed our academic standards. Many young people now enter college with amazingly poor skills, and they graduate with hardly any benefit. A third faulty assumption is that most employers now need workers with in-depth knowledge you could only get from a college education. Again, for some that's true, but for most it's not. Most employers are just looking for good basic skills and trainability. Sadly, many graduates, high school and college, are lacking in those attributes. And that's a real problem, basic education in America. But putting more people through college is not the way to solve it. Now, I'd like to mention a bad side effect to this idea, namely credential inflation. As Harvard professor James Engel wrote in his book, Saving Higher Education in the Age of Money, the U.S. has become the most rigidly credentialized society in the world. A BA is required for jobs that by no stretch of the imagination call for 2 years training, let alone 4. College is largely a positional good. So as we increase the number of people who attain college degrees, that will ratchet up credential inflation. And the problem with that is it shuts out a lot of people who don't have college degrees from perfectly good jobs they could do. I'll conclude with this point. We don't need a central planning approach to higher education. Only individuals can properly weigh costs versus benefits.